Imagine a movie producer approached you and made you an offer. He wants to make a movie of your life, a documentary about your life. Now, part of the deal is he's going to follow you around for 1 year and video record everything you do. I mean, everything you do for a year. But you think about it and you say, hey, this is a good deal. He's going to pay me for it, and he's going to, record everything I say, everything I do. But hey, it's going to be about me, so what's to lose? So you make the deal, and the producer and his film crew follow you around 12 months, non-stop, video record constantly, everything you say, everything you do, it's all on film. Then he takes 1 year of video, 1 year of audio recording, and he makes a 1 hour documentary from all that film. So obviously he's got to be very selective in what he includes and what he excludes. Well, it turns out that the movie producer included only the very worst things that you have ever done over the past year, during that 1 year. And you're horrified. You're watching this movie, this documentary about you, and it's the time you lost your temper. It's the time that you cut somebody out in traffic. It's a time that maybe you had a disagreement with somebody over, say, a payment on something. Everything, the very worst of all the things you did in that year, he captured on this video, and that's all that was in the documentary. I mean, even when you snort at night, he's got a little clip of that in there. And people watch the documentary, and what is their conclusion? They conclude that you are the worst person who ever lived. I mean, you're just some kind of a monster. It's obvious. He's got it. I mean, you can't deny it. It's on video. They can hear what you're saying, and it's real. I mean, you actually said and did those things. Well, the point is, obviously, that's a misrepresentation of who you are, because he is lying by omission. The movie producer in producing this documentary is lying by omission. He is misrepresenting you. So when we talk about the ways that a narcissist turns others against you, one of the ways is he just flat out misrepresents you, or she misrepresents you. They leave out the good things, lie by omission, and they include only the absolute positive worst things in your life. But narcissists aren't movie producers. They're not carrying around video cameras. Well, maybe they are. They may record a few things, but they can embellish, They can add even worse scenarios than what you actually are. So that's what narcissists do. When they turn others against you, they want to present you the very worst light. Totally misrepresentation. That is number one. Okay, what else do they do? Well, number two is this. They make a comparison of you and themselves. So they misrepresent you by comparison. They judge you. And in so doing, they present themselves as the standard of goodness and wonderfulness, and you just didn't live up to that standard, and so you are the bad guy. Now, I had a narcissist in my life, or a person I highly suspect was a narcissist, and we worked together for a while, and he would compare the guy that he worked with before to me. I mean, he would talk to me and he would tell me, he said, Ken, you're much easier to work with. You're much smarter. And he had all these compliments he would endow me with, and he would constantly criticize the other guy that he formerly worked with. Well, what he was doing is, once again, he was turning me against this other worker. So it was comparison not between me and the narcissist, but between me and the other person. Now, of course, when the narcissist discarded me, he did the same thing to me. This time it was me who was the bad guy, and someone else that I don't know who was, much better than I was. That's what they do. They compare. Sometimes it's themselves to you, or themselves to other people, or sometimes it's other people to you, but somehow they wind up making other people feel like you are ultimately the bad guy compared to everyone else. In fact, when the narcissist is spreading these lies, misrepresenting you through comparison, they may even compare you to the person to whom they are speaking, which I guess is the very first scenario we talked about. Number three is this. we can just mention this in passing, but narcissists sometimes they just flat out lie. You know, I've had people who, a couple of occasions where people stole from me, and I turned them over to the police. You know, I called the cops, said, hey, this guy took money or whatever, and the police would call him in, and you know what they would say? They would say, no, I didn't steal it. He gave it to me. I've actually had people do that. Now, a narcissist may have a different lie. They may have a different scenario. They may have a different sequence. But I mentioned this in many other videos, but there are some narcissists who make up stories about about their own past, about how they were great people in the past. Maybe they were great athletes, or typically they like to present themselves as war heroes, or as undercover cops or something like that gives them a sense of authority and someone who's in the know, someone that you can trust. But some of them, they, you know, whatever, they may present themselves as former rock stars who, ironically, you've never heard of before. But yeah, I mean, who's going to check out their stories? Very few people, but we have seen that happen. They just flat out lie. Number 4 is through well, just projection. You're familiar with that, right? You know what projection is? That is when a person takes his flaws, his faults, and he unloads them on other people. So makes him look better. For example, the narcissist that I knew, who was obviously a narcissist in my opinion, he would constantly accuse other people of being arrogant. He accused me of being arrogant. The only person in my life who ever accused me of being arrogant was this guy, and he did it all the time. I only know that because other people came and told me. But when I was working with him, you know, when he was, quote, my friend, unquote, he would constantly accuse other people in his life of being arrogant. He was just projecting his own flaws onto other people. Now, something interesting that I noted, and I've mentioned this in many other videos, so apologies if you've heard this before, but those people he would call arrogant were people who were faring better in life than he was. They were doing better in life than he was, which is just about everybody, because this guy, he wouldn't work, wouldn't hold down a job because he didn't want to have a boss. He didn't want to be under somebody's thumb, is the way he said it. So, you know, someone else had a better family life, so that person was obviously arrogant. Somebody else had a higher income, which was just about anybody with a job. He called that person arrogant. Somebody maybe just smarter than he was. Well, obviously that person was arrogant. He said that about just about everyone. In fact, the only people he didn't say that about, it seems, were his immediate family. And he may have said it about them to other people, but not to me. But that's projection, when we find our faults in other people. So narcissists will turn to others against you by endowing you with their flaws. So you become the scapegoat, so to speak, and you're the bad guy. Just another way to do it. Number 5 is through what I call twisted truths, and these are smears that may have a kernel of truth to them. You know, for example, the narcissist may be talking to one of your friends, trying to turn your friend against you, and he will say to your friend, or she will say to your friend, you remember you had lunch with Ken, or you, whomever? And yeah, he remembers, because that actually did happen. You did, you know, there's truth there. Or maybe you went on a vacation with this person. Yeah, that's true. And then the narcissist will add a lie to that, mix it in. Say that you said something about them critical. You know, the way that they ate or something they did on the trip, the journey, vacation, whatever you want to call it. And this person believes them. Why do they do that? Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But these are truths. I mean, there's a little bit of truth there, but you know, they're mixed in with what will we call it? Arsenic, make you sick. Maybe make their opinion of you sick. Number 6 is what I call unspoken hints. Yeah, I've seen this. I hate this. I hate it. For example, let's say you're talking to a group of friends or a group of people. They may not be friends, and there's the narcissist. And you say something, and when you do, the narcissist will kind of snicker or laugh at what you said like it's stupid. What he or she is doing, without saying anything, is signaling to others that you're stupid. You know, that's a dumb idea. Or maybe you walk into a room and there's a narcissist, your narcissist is in there, and he or she may just literally turn their back on you, signaling to others that they are to turn against you. This is literal. Or maybe the narcissist may just make a face when you're talking to people, like how dumb could you possibly be? And you see this all the time. That is what I call unspoken hints or suggestions that still it communicates. Because somebody said, I think this is a bit of an exaggeration, but somebody said about 70% of all our communication is nonverbal. So we say a lot just by the way we act, the expression on our face and whatever. It may not be 70%, but it's significant. Number 7 is, for lack of a better term, I decided to call this one the associate smear. And by that I mean they will smear you or put you down by associating you with somebody else. People do this all the time. It's fairly common. But narcissists love to do this. They like to identify you with someone who's a bad person. All right, think of the worst person who has lived in the last, 100 years. Who would that person be? I'm not going to name any names, but you're probably thinking of the same person I am. And how many times have you heard political candidates comparing their opponent to that person? That's what they do. Now, that's not necessarily a narcissist, but what a narcissist will do is, for example, this I think is a good example, is they will go to someone knowing what their religious views are or their political views are, and they will tell them that your religious views are different or your political views are different, knowing that they will dislike you or at least disassociate you with you or at least possibly look upon you with less consideration than they did before because, well, you're different, because you disagree with them. And they will convince the other people that you are the ones that are disagreeing with them, therefore they have to disagree with you. So what they are doing in so doing is they are turning others against you. Now, why do people do this? Well, a couple reasons. And that is because faith comes by hearing. We believe what we hear. We just do, We believe what we hear, not what we see. So somebody showed me a picture of this big furry, I think it was gorilla, whatever, and they said, you know what that is? Gorilla? I said, no, that's Bigfoot. Now every time I see the picture, I think Bigfoot. I just can't get that out of my head. I just kind of believe, oh yeah, that's some guy dressed up in a Bigfoot suit. It's not a gorilla. Well, maybe it is a guy dressed up in a Bigfoot suit. But the point is, I believe what I heard. Well, sometimes what you hear is actually true. That's a good thing. But when a narcissist says it, that's a bad thing. Now, there's more to it than that. Not only does faith come by hearing, but we walk by faith, not by sight. What that means is what we believe takes precedence in our mind over what we see. What we know to be true, if somebody hears it, we'll believe what we heard. That is why you could have a friend for years. I mean, I've had friends for decades, people I've known for a very, very, very long time. And a narcissist would spend just a few minutes with them and totally, completely turn the person against me, just in a matter of minutes by the things that he or she said. How is that possible? Well, number one, faith comes by hearing, and we walk by faith, not by sight. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if this good friend knew me for a very, very, very long time, and they should have known better. They had not seen any of the things the narcissist said, but still they believed him because what? Faith comes by hearing. People tend to believe what they hear. That's human nature. See those two rectangles on the screen? If you want this to continue, just click on one of those two rectangles and we'll keep on talking. If not, thanks for stopping by and see y'all next time.